All right, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to the iRysa MX5 Championship. Tonight is the final round of the MX5 Championship, and we are live from Virginia International Raceway. We're just about 10 minutes away from the start of our qualifying session tonight, and once we wrap up with qualifying, we'll be moving into our traditional 10-minute lone qualifying setup, and from there we'll be having our two races from the night. And let's jump on over to our timing screen and see what some of our drivers are doing on track tonight. Following Bobby Ross here, his last lap time was a 2:13.3. He's currently running P4. There's still about 7 minutes left in practice, so we'll see what the rest of the field can do. We'll kind of see what sort of practice times we'll be seeing on the field tonight, and from there we'll kind of have a better idea of what sort of qualifying times we'll see tonight. And let's see, Franco Cipulo here in the number 46. He's currently running P8, and tonight he's actually debuting his brand new Max Pappas Mazda wheel on his Fanatec setup there. So I'm sure he's going to be enjoying this Mazda race, particularly, especially tonight. It's always fun when we're able to take equipment from the real world and use it on the sim. So shout out to Franco, and hope he's enjoying that new wheel in the sim. Matias Orjuela, oh, one of our younger drivers on the field, looks like he just went off, had a pretty big accident there. Is he going to try to get it back around, or is he going to go back to the pits? Fortunately, this is still practice. We still have about 5 minutes left, so it looks like he just went directly back to the pits. Rudy Ramsarup, he's joining us tonight. Looks like he was out the last several nights for the GT3 series. Good to see him on track tonight. And is he running? Let's see. Refresh the paints here. Oh, sorry about that. Just giving the paints a quick refresh here, seeing if he's either running a new paint scheme or if he's going to be running that traditional Arizona paint scheme that he usually runs. Um, Looks like the liveries are starting to come back up there, and no, there it is. So he is running that Arizona livery. Let's get a little bit of a closer shot on it. There it is. Great to see Rudy out on track tonight. And as we jump on board with Alexander Searle, one of the other RISA drivers, another local karting driver, great to see him on track. They just ran last week, this past weekend in Daytona, so they just ran a nice little enduro. Alexander slightly goes off track there. They just ran an enduro up in Daytona, quite heavily in the rain actually. So it's going to be fun to see what drivers can do now, or what Alexander can do specifically, coming right off just from a few days ago, being on track, being on a real track in the MX5. And currently at the top of the leaderboard. Looks like Painter's still refreshing for cars in the pits there. Diego Iglesias still has a 212.09. Eduardo Pecorini in P2 with a 212.49. And Pedro Iglesias rounding up the top three with a 213.0. So just a few more minutes here, about 2.5 minutes left in practice until we start lone qualifying. And for those of you that are new, lone qualifying, how the way it works, iRacing will separate the drivers, and we'll end up having um, drivers in their own session essentially. This way, there's no advantage when it comes to drafting or any sort of advantage the drivers could work out between themselves. So the qualifying is a 10-minute session, and the screen will go um, slightly blank for a few moments until we have cars starting to roll out um, onto the track, and you'll start seeing lap times come up on the board. We've got about 90 seconds left in practice. Looks like some cars are still out on track. Jordan Hernandez, he's looks like he's still rocking that Burrell Art Rysa traditional red MX5. This is based off the real MX5, so it's something really cool. That's something that I definitely enjoy being able to take liveries from cars in the real world and being able to use them here on iRacing as well. And looks like Jordan just slightly went off there. It looks like we've got about 30 seconds left. We'll go back to our race info screen here as we follow along with Bobby Ross here for about the last 20 seconds of practice here at Virginia International Raceway. All right, so just our timing has now just switched over to qualifying, and just to verify, oh, excuse me 1 second, looks like closed out the race session there by accident. And we should just be back live in the session in just a few moments. All right, and we seem to. I think we've got everything back in order now. Apologies about that. And it looks like we still have. It's about 3 minutes in now, and we still have drivers in the pits. Nobody's gone out and put a lap time in. As soon as I see drivers start to come up, we'll switch over to our regular timing screens. Until then, um, just want to give a quick shout out to. Looks like we've got just a few watchers on the YouTube channel right now. So, good evening to everybody watching, and thank you for joining us tonight. And as we wait just now for drivers to get out on track, just a quick um, personal note about VIR. I felt that this track, when I first got to know this track, it was not even so much about the track itself. It was more about the surrounding area and what you're kind of surrounded by when you're at VIR. And I obviously only have seen this in the simulator, but even then, it's been more about the scenery and being able to, like the barn house here, um, and just kind of that whole kind of country club feel. There's a really cool documentary as well. If you haven't seen it, highly recommended. And it's just a good story, and it's a track that also has a good history, but a good story behind it as well. And looks like with 5 minutes left here, looks like we've got some drivers that have finally put out a lap time as we display here the timing information. Looks like Eduardo Pecorini is in P1 right now with a 212.6. Diego Iglesias with a 213.1. Bobby Ross P3 with a 213.3. Pedro Iglesias with a 213.7. Jordan Hernandez 213.9. That's a P5. Matias Orjuela in P6 with a 215.0. And in P7, Rudy Ramser with a 217.2. As we've got a few more lap times coming in. Victor Leo P8 with a 219.2. Got about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes left in qualifying here. We'll get the grid lined up and get ready for our first race of the night. Aquila Sentillan coming in with a 215.3, taking in P9. Alexander Searle taking P8 with a 2:15.1 with about 2 minutes left here in qualifying. And with about 90 seconds left, top five: Eduardo Pecorini, Frankie Barroso, Diego Iglesias, Bobby Ross, Pedro Iglesias, and rounding up the rest of the field: Matias Orjuela, Jordan Hernandez, Alexander Searle, Aquiles Santillan, Rudy Ramsrup, Victor Leo, and we still have just a few drivers that have not set a qualifying lap time yet. And we've got about 30 seconds left here in qualifying. Looks like we'll be getting our grid information here in the next few seconds. We'll get the grid lined up, and in just a few short seconds here, we'll be on our way for our first race of the night. All right, and with the grid lined up, we've got in P1 Eduardo Pecorini, followed by Frankie Barroso and Diego Iglesias in P3. In P4, Bobby Ross. In P5, Pedro Iglesias. P6, Matias Orjuela. P7, Jordan Hernandez. In P8, we've got Alexander Searle. In P9, Aquiles Santillan. In P10, Rudy Ramsrup. In P11, Victor Leo. P12, Jerry DiPiero. In P14, we've got Rodrigo Mendoza. And that's going to round out the field for tonight. We'll jump on board here with our leader, Eduardo Pecorini, as we'll get ready to get going here for our first race of the night. All drivers should be ready to go by now. We've got about 20 seconds left until the official green light, or until the official timing tree comes up. And we've got the lights up. Drivers will get ready to get a launch going, and we've got a clean start from our drivers up at the front. Eduardo Pecorini having a nice clean start. Looks like the back of the field also had a nice clean start. Let's see how drivers take it into turn one. It's going to be a nice, clean, heavy braking zone into turn one. Just keeping the weight balance in check, especially with this Miata. It's going to be very difficult to just keep it nice and just threading the needle through every single one of these corners. It's a very curvy track, so it's going to be key to making sure that these cars can keep everything in check tonight. And looks like Anthony's going to be joining us in the commentary booth soon. will get ready for him shortly. And looks like Anthony's in the stream here with us. Anthony, you there? It's going great, man. It's good to have you here in the booth tonight. How was everything? It looks like you told me you were working on some real motorsport stuff, so that's always exciting to hear about. That's awesome. Yeah, it looks like we've had a quite cool, definitely a nice clean start so far. Looks like Bobby Ross is down 2 places. Frankie Barroso looks like he may have had a slight issue there. He's down 11 places right now. But it looks like other than that, we've got some drivers that have made quite a lot of places up the field, and Pecorini is still up in P1. Alexander Searle, he's up 4 positions as we jump on board here with him. We did mention it, but as somebody that was there, I think the viewers would love to get a perspective from somebody that was actually there. How was it?
To be honest. But the main focus is our drivers, and yeah, like I said, exceptional talent. Brad would post lap times that are about 2 seconds off. Speaking of which, we got here Franco being side by side with Orjuela going into the turn here. But anyhow, yeah, like to say the least, it was an exceptional experience right there, and I'm sure Cyril here learned a lot as we see him in fifth right now, 3 spots ahead.
Yeah, and it looks like Akiles Santillan, he's up 6 positions. Looks like the camera did not catch him there. Is he back in
Oh
the?
no,
I think he
I think
may
he
have
just
gone off.
I think he disconnected because it says he's out.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because I see him dropping through the field at the moment. Jumping on board here, I think Jordan Hernandez. We'll have to check and see what happened to Achilles there. But Jordan currently running P3 up 4 positions from his starting position. So as of right now, if he continues to hold it steady, he may have a podium finish tonight.
An interesting turn of events here for Jordan Hernandez, one of the younger drivers. His first podium would be exceptional given the fact that he's pretty new to the iRacing scene.
Yeah, and specifically in this track, I try to drive all the tracks right before we get onto the commentary, just to have an idea of how the track's going to be, and specifically going through this section here. Um, it's such a dance with the Miata. The whole back just kind of just wants to slide out everywhere, and you really just kind of have to almost catch this drift every single time. So that we're here at VIR, um, with such a beautiful track, with such an iconic car. I think it's a great way to wrap up the season for the MX5 Championship.
It's a pretty good experience too. I'm sure sooner or later, somewhere down this year, the Rysa team will be at that track as well with a couple of drivers as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they were able to combine the sim into the real world. I did have the pleasure to speak with Brad Perez while he was um sitting down in between sessions, and he said that the grip in the Miata is pretty much spot on. It mimics some of the personalities of the car, as it should. Sometimes the Miatas tend to slide a little bit on entry, and then they just hook and point the rest of the way. And they do a pretty good job of mimicking that in iRacing. I was blown at the specifics of that, because that sounds like a very specific characteristic. For iRacing to be able to mimic that, it sounds pretty good in their physics.
Yeah, it makes me happy to hear that kind of feedback from drivers that actually drive the cars in real life because it kind of validates what we do, and in a sense, it definitely validates um, the expense of a simulator. Obviously, over the years, you continue to invest, and hearing it from drivers that say, "Hey, this is actually it's a good tool, or it's a good representation of what this is actually like," then it's worth it.
Yeah, and when he told me that, I don't really drive Miatas too often. I like to stick to the formula stuff, as given my career and whatnot. But when he told me that, I was like, wait a minute, he's right. Miatas do slide a little bit, and then once you're like, whoa, 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 you catch it, and the thing just you're able to send it into the corner. And he told me, and I was like, he's right. They do that. So
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because I feel that between this and the Skip Barber, these two cars are the best ones and they're the most predictable when it comes to catching the rear. Um,
yeah,
Not many cars on iRacing um, can give you that much warning when you're about to get a slide, but the Miata definitely gives you plenty of warning so that it teaches you. There's a lot of times where I can't catch a slide, but it forces you to continue learning about it. And at least in the sim, if you crash the car, well, you can just reset.
yeah, it makes a very good driver's car, or a learning car, so to say. If you're able to catch slides like that, it teaches you a lot and prepares you for other things to come. And just so to reiterate, I'm getting a text message from someone personally. So they weren't able to hear my Daytona recap, so I'll just reiterate it very quickly. By the way, Koza, can you hear me just fine now? Now I'm talking a
Yes.
little louder.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it might
So
have been an audio issue here on my end, but it looks like
yeah, I
we're
think
okay now.
I just wasn't close enough. Or if it was on your end, that'd be great too. If you could boost me a little bit. But anyways, just to reiterate, I had the pleasure of joining Frankie, Alexander Searle, and Brad Perez, who's not currently driving with us, but he has before in the past. I joined them on a 14-hour race over in Daytona International Speedway this past weekend, and it was like I said, it couldn't have gone any smoother. The Rysa guys, Jonathan and Sebas, prepped the car in such a way that we did not have a single issue throughout the entire 14 hours. Albeit we had to stop a couple times for lightning, but even then, I'm sure if the car had kept on going for 14 hours straight, you know, not even a single issue came up. Other cars were dropping like flies, but I would see them; they would smoke up. Some just flat out crashed, but Frankie and Brad and Alex, man, they drove pretty good for Alex and Frankie's first time at Daytona. They weren't that far off from Brad's time. Brad had some experience. So I was just impressed overall at the preparation of the car. It didn't have any problems. How Frankie and Alex were able to adapt to it. Overall, it was just a great experience, and I was there along for the ride. I was just a fuel man, and I did the occasional oil check and nut and bolt check, but I was just a mere observer for the most of the time, and I was very very impressed. And yeah.
I think it's an awesome situation just to be in. It's just something good to be around for as much as we love the sport. Even if you're just hanging out in a back corner, even that I think is feels quite special.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too personal, but I tend to be that guy in the corner. But now I'm trying to be the guy who talks. Like just now, I found out that the new team that I'm working with, they have a neighbor that does Formula cars, and I wouldn't have known that if I had approached the guy and started talking and
There you
whatnot.
go.
So you never find out. You never know who you'll meet nowadays. So it's just good to just get out there and
It absolutely is, and looks like we've got about 3 laps here in a first race tonight. Top 5 right now: Diego Iglesias, Eduardo Pecorini, Alexander Searle, Jordan Hernandez, and Pedro Iglesias. Looks like Jordan Hernandez up 3 positions from his starting position. Alexander
Alex.
Searle 5 positions from his starting position, and Diego Iglesias up 2 positions. So Pecorini looks like he lost the lead um, to Iglesias. So looks like they've got quite a battle going on because the gap is just under half a second there.
And if I see correctly, it's only 10 seconds. It's not only it's 10 seconds away from the next driver.
Yeah, it looks like Alexander's about only 10 seconds behind them. Looks like he and Jordan Hernandez have their own little battle going on. Looks like Alexander's got a little bit of rear damage there. Not sure if that's affecting his performance at all. But it definitely looks like Jordan is slightly gaining under braking. So we'll see what happens over the next few laps here.
Man, I'm loving Alex's paint scheme. It's a very nice change of pace. The Super Mario scheme going on.
It is a Super Mario, right? I was. It's more of the, I guess the more modern Mario. I'm used to like the old school Mario that I have on my helmet. And let's see what Rudy's up to in that Arizona MX5. Every time I see this car, I really want like a green tea or something.
you know, when we had what was it, a grocery run? Guess what we ended up getting?
A whole bunch of Arizona tea.
Yes, sir.
Did you guys get like a big house for the whole team?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty solid.
That's the best way to do it, man.
A big old house, and we had a good time together afterwards.
That's what
You
it's
know,
for. It's just throw a bunch of people in a house and get back to the track early in the morning.
yeah. Why, separate yourselves in hotel rooms? Just get the gang together, still in the house, and talk it up afterwards. You're there as a family. You work together. You have fun together.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about here. But so we got one lap here to go. Iglesias is still in the lead. Peccarini's managed to close it up by a tenth here, so now he's only 4 tenths back. And gaining. Looks like he got a very good exit off that last turn right here down the straightaway. Let's see what happens as they go through the next couple S's. Let me look through. Now that I got some good bandwidth going on, let me see if I can find another good fight going on right now. It seems like there probably is one between Bobby Ross and Jerry. They had a pretty good fight right now in our fun race with our NASCAR race that wasn't streamed, unfortunately, but we had a nice, good NASCAR race amongst all of us here. And Jerry and Bobby were some top runners in that race, and here they are once again.
Lots of little battles going on between lots of the drivers. Just a lot of the drivers just coupled up and having their own little battles throughout the field.
Yeah, we got Mendoza. Excuse me, we got Franco here against Rudy. Mendoza looks like he's out by himself, but and so is Orjuela. But definitely got a nice battle here going on with Rudy and Franco. No, Franco's probably just waiting until the last lap to try and overtake Rudy. I'm sure Rudy's finally, or not finally, rather, he's definitely putting on the horns right now against Franco.
And it looks like the gap up front is getting shorter and shorter as we're about to start the last lap here for Diego Iglesias and Eduardo Pecorini. Pecorini looks like he's going to try and go for it on the outside here. He's going to see if he can take it under late braking. He's too far on the outside to make it work. But it's going to be an interesting last lap here because this is going to be a very tight battle between the two leaders here.
I'm just noticing right now. It seems like Jordan has passed Alexander Searle for third place.
Yep, and it looks like the gap has extended quite a bit there.
But let's look at the leaders right now. It's a very hot battle right now in the closing laps at VIR. Got Pecorini here tailing behind Diego Iglesias, the two countrymen from El Salvador. He's like Pecorini's gone off just a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't put him back too much. But the gap is still very small at only about 4 tenths. Pecorini's closing on the inside on that last turn right here. Let's see if he has a very good exit. He's having some pretty good exits off in the straights. And I don't think so. Looks like the gap is just maintaining. It's not shrinking like it should right now for Pecorini's sake.
There is a heavy braking zone here, so let's see what happens with Pecorini.
Last time we had a race here in VIR, this was one of the more exciting parts of the track right now. And then some. It looks like Pecorini has closed the gap by a tenth right now, but it's not over yet. We have one more turn remaining. And looking at it now, he's did everything right. Diego Iglesias looks like to be your winner for round one at VIR. And let's see if he can manage to get it. Jordan Hernandez coming in with a third place podium, his first podium of the ASiMRacing series. A big congratulations to the young man right here. And Alexander Searle coming in fourth. And our final top five finisher, Pedro Iglesias. But it seems like we got a tight battle going on right now with Jerry and Bobby. And Piero takes it for sixth, with Bobby coming in seventh. And let's see right now, there may be one more battle remaining. There's Matias Orjuelas to try and finish it off at eighth place. He does. Rodrigo Mendoza coming in ninth. And Franco managed to put the pass on Rudy as expected, coming in to finish off in top 10. And our ringleader, Rudy, coming in 11th. And Victor Leo is joining us here tonight. He's in 12th, and he's going to finish it off in doing so in 12th place.
That was a pretty clean first run. I think there was only, two cars that did not manage to get to the end of the track, but definitely a lot of clean battles tonight on our first race. We've got a 10-minute warm-up now. This will be a little warm-up session or a break for our drivers before we get started on our second race.
Yeah, I missed the start there, but that seemed like it went pretty clean the rest of the way. So I hope it stays that way, and maybe even some tighter racing for the last race of the night and the last race of the season, so to say.
Absolutely. We'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes here. Just gonna review some race control information, and we'll be back with you in just a few short moments. right, you're good.
Oh, here we go. Oh, we have a jump start by Searle here, and lights out and away we go. Got Diego Iglesias pulling off from the group here. I apologize for the graphic on the screen right now. We're sort of running out of technical difficulty, but I'm still able to give you commentary for the most part. But a good pack racing right now with behind Iglesias. Seems like Searle's going to make a dive bomb here to pass Pecorini to get second, or not Searle, excuse me, Jordan Hernandez. Jordan Hernandez trying to get one up his podium position from the previous race. And a good lead right now by Diego Iglesias with a fantastic start to complement that. Pecorini's in third right now, and it seems like... Oh. There we go. We're back. Sorry about that. And got Diego Iglesias still there. Jordan Hernandez, Pecorini, Searle, Pedro Iglesias there in fifth. Please bear with us here. We're still trying to sort out this situation right now. And Piero there sitting behind Pedro Iglesias in sixth place. Oh no, oh, and he goes off. Diego putting one wheel off, and it carried the momentum off, and he goes completely off. He'll have to sit in third and fight his way back to the lead. Your new leader right now is Jordan Hernandez in the red Miata. And then for some reason, Franco's in first place. Excuse that mistake right there in the graphics. I think something had to do with the way he pitted and whatnot. But like I said, currently your leader is Jordan Hernandez. Second is Pecorini here as he tries to put the move on Hernandez in the upcoming turn. Be careful there. There's Diego Iglesias soon thereafter. Oh, and Jordan puts the move on Diego right there. But Pecorini makes a mistake and goes off just like Diego did. We'll have to be careful as here comes the rest of the field. And Piero manages to get away unscathed. Pecorini will have to sit there and fight his way back up to the lead as well.
It looks like we've got quite a... Go ahead. Looks like we've got quite a battle here. Go ahead, Anthony.
Oh, go ahead, you.
I think we've got quite a battle here with Frankie Barroso, Matias Arjuela, and Rudy. It looks like a slight battle on the middle pack there. Looks like they're definitely running very close to each other.
Yeah, Frankie's in a league in his own, but the battle is going on between Arjuela, Rudy, Mendoza, and Ross. But it seems like Mendoza has put the move on both of them, passing two at once. Oh, but he made a mistake, I guess, on the exit right here because he went back to his original position. Arjuela's still the leader of that pack. Frankie being out by himself. I think he went off. That's what happened. But Franco, yes, there he is in the pits. Something happened there, I guess, in the start. Oh, he's missing a whole hood. Well, we got a very tight battle here.
Yeah, it looks like he definitely took some damage there. Sorry about the back and forth there, but jumping back on board with our leaders.
And Iglesias managed to retain back his lead from that first mistake he made. I don't know. I wonder what happened to Jordan Hernandez. Now he's in third place, but Searle, they're over there in second place. I wonder if he's has to serve a penalty because I'm pretty sure I saw him jump to start. But I hope I'm wrong for the sake of this pretty good battle we've got going on right here. Oh, and I think Pecorini may have made another... No, never mind. Excuse me for that. But yes, Piero did pass Pecorini when Pecorini went off track. So, yeah, he's staying there in sixth place right now, behind Piero.
And I love seeing packs like this. Just single file running through the corners. And you can really see that these drivers are... You know, with the exception of the... Oh, as commentator's curse strikes again. Looks like Jordan Hernandez made a mistake there. Let's see if we can see that replay there.
He dropped the wheel just like Diego did. And one is enough here in VIR, I guess. Cars are very easy to unsettle. But it seems like he does a pretty good job to get back on track without hitting one. That's a very very useful skill here. It's something most people neglect, actually, in iRacing. I mean, not so much in the real world.
Yeah, it looks like Rudy and Bobby definitely had to go around jumping on board. Back to live pictures here. It looks like Jordan, Bobby, and Rudy are still running in a pretty tight pack.
Ooh, Bobby also put a wheel in the grass right here and affected his braking zone. He almost hit Rudy in the back there, but he managed to move the car out of the way safely.
Rudy's got to definitely be feeling that pressure. He's got to have just, he's got 3 cars really just on his gearbox there as we jump on board. Just get this rear view camera here, and you can tell just how close they are. I mean, 3 cars behind you. Just you really need to focus and make sure you don't lose any bit of time here.
And I was trying to say this before Jordan spun out, but from the outside looking in, you wouldn't be able to tell unless you're a racer yourself. But looking at these pack racings that we've got right here, it's very nerve-wracking right here, especially if you're in the leader of the pack right now, like Rudy is right now. You're trying to do your best to be consistent all throughout the entire track, as we see the intensity in his virtual eyes right here with this camera angle. And you were trying to do your very best to not make a mistake so that the rest of the field will pounce on you as soon as you do. So very formidable here by Rudy. He's in 8th place right now, but he's battling a field of 3 cars. And I believe there's another battle further up ahead with the rest of the leaders with Iglesias, Searle, and Pecorini. Oh, and I'm just noticing right now Pecorini managed to climb his way back up to 3rd.
Yeah, and that's not even just that. It's the matter of being in the car and seeing everything in your peripheral vision. When you start seeing cars flying around in your 3 different mirrors, it gets pretty crazy and pretty hectic, and that's when you really have to hone in and focus, because the second that you lose focus and you start focusing on the cars behind you instead of what's coming up in front of you, you're run into a mistake very quickly.
Ooh, and Frankie Barroso pulling a smoking 212.5. He's definitely the fastest car on track right now by far. Let's see if he can manage to make his way all the way up to the podium position. The young man coming off from a very long race in Daytona International Speedway, 14 hours in the Miata. Definitely a good prep for tonight's race here. Oh, something's going on here. We have Diego Iglesias stopped on the track. That's very weird. Normally we see cars just spinning out and then they'll be in a different position, but he's completely and utterly stopped on track.
He's still showing in P1 here on my screen, though.
Sorry, I saw a black and green car. I don't know if you saw that too. A black and green car that just stopped completely on track. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think I did see that for a moment. I'm not sure if it was a glitch in the system though, but I do see Diego Iglesias still on track, still in the lead. He's got about a 1.5 second lead there.
That was weird. Apologies for that. Could have been Frankel's car too. He was black and green as well. But nonetheless, they're both on track right here. So sorry for that. But nonetheless, we're halfway, and your top 5 currently is Iglesias, Searle, Pecorini, Iglesias, and Barroso. It seems like the pack racing has spread out, fortunately. But interesting to see how our drivers are able to compose themselves for the remainder of the race.
Good for Pecorini, definitely working his way back up through the field. We're about halfway done with our second race tonight, and this is going to be our last race of the MX5 series for this season.
Yes, sir. Pecorini looking for redemption as he came in 2nd place in the first race, trying to get a win for the final race of the season. And also, I may add, Pecorini is 2nd currently right now in the championship leaderboard. Our championship leader, Alessandro De Tulio, could not be with us here tonight, so a possible win a possible podium finish here for Pecorini. Oh, and as I say that, Searle went off, and he's disconnected. He has disconnected. Pecorini's currently in 2nd place right now. And as I was saying, a podium finish for Pecorini might make him the first ever double champion in the iRysa series here, as he is the GT3 champion.
And it's interesting, just if you play the points right, you really just have to be strategic about how you win races and how you play those points. And you know, even if Pecorini at the end of the night doesn't win this race, he still might win the championship.
Yes, sir. As long as he manages to maintain his composure and stay within the points, and if he manages to score fastest lap as well, who I came late, who qualified pole position.
Let's take a look and see. I'm not gonna have that information right now.
We can look at it later. I'm pretty sure it could be Pecorini. He is a very, very strong qualifier.
And Diego Iglesias with about a 4.5 second lead there. Frankie Barroso about another 8 seconds behind there. So definitely quite a bit of a gap extending out. Looks like there's quite a bit of a tight gap here between Pedro Iglesias, Jerry DiPiero, and looks like this is looks like I missed Jerry DiPiero, Pedro Iglesias, and Frankie Barroso is what I meant to say. Looks like they've got quite a close battle here.
It's the battle for third.
I feel like now at these last few stages, these last few laps, that kind of anxiety that some of these drivers must be feeling must be at an all-time high, being that it's going to be the last MX5, and I'm sure that all these drivers are trying to grab as many of those points as possible.
Definitely, last race of the season definitely puts all the pressure to get the most points as possible and highest up on the leaderboard. And if we have points for hardest charger, we usually just do that out of something to talk about here in the stream. The points would definitely go to Frankie Barroso. He's got 10 spots taken right now for with 6 laps in of race 2.
Definitely, it looks like Pecorini. Unfortunately, with Alexander Searle disconnecting, Pecorini's up to P2 at the moment, and unfortunately, the gap to Diego Iglesias is quite extensive, but it's still not over. I mean, we still have about 2 laps left, and you really never know what could happen. You never know what could happen until the very few corners.
If I'm doing the mental math correctly, based on the current point standing right now, if Pecorini needs to remain in second place, that will make him the champion. So long as whoever's in third, I don't have access to that right now at the moment. I'm using one screen. Whoever's in third stays below Pecorini, he will be the champion.
And we'll find out just in the next 5 minutes or so. We've got about 2 laps left here. As the top of the field, they're rounding up the last few corners. They'll be starting lap 7. We'll get a white flag lap, and we'll take a look and see at the points and see who is going to win the MX5 Championship.
Impressive drive by Iglesias, considering that he went off and made a big mistake. So did Pecorini, but they both managed to recover very well, and they've got some solid gaps right now, respectively, not only against each other, but third place as well. But seems like we got a really good battle right now for third still, with Iglesias, Barroso, and Piero. They're only about 4/10 overall separate from each other. There it is, as I said. Oh, Iglesias managed to get the pass on Frankie. Didn't notice that there. Now it's getting good.
So imagine being here in the driver's seat. You got your left mirror and your rear view mirror. You got a car in front of you. You've got X amount of corners coming up, and you got another car behind you, and the rear view mirror is just kind of flashing around. And you got to stay in that tiny little space. Just, it's quite a bit of pressure on these drivers.
It takes a special kind of person to remain cool during all that. and to also keep your concentration and pass the guy in front of you. And Frankie's definitely shown us that he can do it right now. As you can see him working the wheel very so calmly, not jittering it around, doing it the way you should. And getting very close to his bumper there as we see him try to make the move right here in the tree turn. Will Iglesias give him some space? I don't think so. Hopefully, Frankie got a very good exit off that turn. I don't think so. It looks like he's getting closer to Pierre, actually, now that I mention it. We'll see right now. We've got one lap remaining when they come to the stripe. Next time by.
Diego Iglesias coming up the back right now, just rounding up the last corner. He's going to be starting off the last lap of the race tonight.
It seems like, yes, Frankie did manage to pass Iglesias, and Iglesias dropped back behind Piero in that battle for third. Oh, and it seems like Iglesias dropped the wheel again. Will he go off?
Looks like he managed to keep it on.
Did, but it's a huge gap now amongst them against Piero. Seems like there's another battle going on right now with Jordan Hernandez and Bobby Ross. I just want to say a big shout out to Franco. Looks like he's still in the race despite having issues off the beginning. Yes, sir, there he is.
And just about half a lap to go here, jumping on board with Diego Iglesias, leader for the night, and Eduardo Pecorini behind him in the P2. Looks like quite a significant gap there, but you never know what could happen. But it looks like Pecorini is going to wrap up in that second position,
which may as well secure his points in the championship. Again, if whoever is behind Pecorini in the points doesn't manage to rise up to the occasions, Pecorini would be your champion for the MX5 series and your first ever ASiMRacing iRacing double champion.
and as Diego Iglesias comes up to the last bit of corners, Pecorini to follow.
And to wrap up the season here, sorry, Jose.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Diego Iglesias sweeping the night here with a double win to finish off Season 3 of the MX5 Championship. Pecorini coming in second, potentially your champion of the series. And Frankie Barroso with redemption taking 10 whole spots to come into the final podium spot in third place. Jared Pierre coming in fourth, and Pedro Iglesias fighting very hard with Piero to finish off in fifth, your final top 5 spot of the night. But we got some more drivers coming up right now to finish it off. We'll see, or Matias Orjuela finishing in sixth. Jordan Hernandez narrowing out with Bobby Ross here to finish out in 7th and 8th respectively. Franco has taken the flag here in 10th place, but we've got ringleader Rudy here in stunning fashion, being the last one to take the checkered flag. Other than Mendoza. There he is, Rudy coming in 9th place to finish it off. There's Franco. Again, big shout out for him to continue to finish on the race despite his issues. And there's Rodrigo Mendoza to finish it off here tonight in the nice Repsol number 69 car.
And looks like we're gonna have these drivers just looks like Rodrigo slightly goes off there, but looks like we've got quite a few drivers that are still gonna make it.
No one saw that.
No one saw that. great run in the MX5 tonight. What do you think about that, Anthony?
Very, very good racing. Like I said, I wanted some pack racing, and we got it right there. Big battle there with Pecorini, Iglesias, Searle in the beginning, and Jordan Hernandez. And then again, another big battle between, if I remember correctly, I was early on in the race with Rudy, Mendoza, Pedro Iglesias, and I think Bobby Ross as well. Nonetheless, we got some nice pack racing there in the second race, and I couldn't be more happy.
Absolutely, I think it was a great run, and definitely watching the drivers dance around with the Miata is always a good time, and especially here at VIR with such a beautiful track. It's a beautiful scenery. It's always a treat uh, to be able to have something like this.
Yep. Now, only time will tell here. We need to calculate the points up a little later on tonight, and we'll announce it later on who will be your champion. But if I do the mental math correctly, Eduardo Pecorini is your provisional champion right now.
Well, we will wait until race control finishes up with the points, and we will share that information out with all our drivers, and we'll share that out through our social media as well. Anthony, if you've got anything else.
Nope. Solid night. Thank you again, ASiMRacing Racing, for allowing us to broadcast to you all here tonight.
Thank you all very much for watching and hanging out, and have a great evening.
Have a great evening, everyone.